Hello everyone, good morning. John here with Die Hard Painting. It is 6:13 in the morning, and in this video I paint Groot from Marvel Crisis Protocol, doing the comic book style painting that I've never done before. And I followed along with Mike from Epic Duck Studios, his video on painting Groot in the comic book style painting. And if you haven't seen that video, you should definitely go check that out before watching this one. I'm going to try to put the link to his video in the description so you can go check it out. This video is not going to really be a tutorial on how to, but rather just my experience following his tutorial and just trying it out for the first time. This model is for a friend, and I kind of wanted to be something new and challenging as an interest to me, but also something that I think this friend would appreciate. So this is a one-time, or rather my first time in the style. Mike does a phenomenal job of explaining how, his thought process, and just what you need to be successful. And I felt like he did a great job explaining the style to me for somebody who's never done it before. So with that being said, let's hop into the video. This time I'm going to try to record everything in one audio, just one take. That might help me in post. So let me know if it's good. Let me know if it's bad. Or don't. Who cares? Alrighty. So one thing he did show in his video was for base coating this model. He just did it with a dry brush. You don't remove a lot of the paint or anything like that. You're not actually dry brushing. You're just actually pushing the paint into all the recesses, which really helped and saved time when it came to base coating this model. I don't know why I've never thought of it, but I'm definitely going to be using this going forward with other models. Also, as you saw in the video, I have Artist Opus Series D. They're dry brushes. I think they're really good. You definitely don't need them. I might do a video reviewing them, but yeah, something new I wanted to try out. New toy, so I was excited to try them. So I start with Mourning Brown. I dry brushed Morghast Bone onto it. I felt like it was too much of a jump. I think that was just me being hesitant with the stark contrast. I tie it all together with a contrast paint, the Snakebite leather, but I don't really think it was a necessary step. I don't think it took anything away from the model. I don't think it ended up adding anything to it. I was trying to tie the two colors together, but honestly, at the end of the day, I ended up dry brushing over it with the Morghast Bone. So it was kind of one of those things that, you know, take it or leave it. So I did the contrast paint to tie it together. I ended up just doing the Morghast Bone over top of it. Once again, you don't have to, you could skip that step when it comes to the contrast. say the one thing I did different, I wanted to boost the contrast when it came to the moss, just the moss effect. I really wanted more vibrant green, so that's what I went with. It was Elysian all the way up to a Moot Green, just to give that moss. And I did also use a little bit of taking the Morghast Bone and the Mourning Brown, mix them a little bit together and kind of tied that in to give it a little dirt effect, like instead of just just a brown to a light tan, something that kind of tied in. I guess I probably would have done that instead of the contrast paint, but you live and you learn. Oh, something else I feel like I should mention, I don't have P3 paint, which is what he uses, and he really speaks highly of it. I don't have an opinion on P3. I've never tried P3 paint before. I just use what I had, which is mostly going to be a mix of AK Interactive, Vallejo, and Citadel paints. Then as for just the base coats for the base, I just followed him exactly. I had the two colors, Eshin and Administratum Grey. Mixed as he said, I think it was like a 1-to-1. I'm not 100% sure. Once again, check his video for all of that information. But yeah, just used his paint recipe for that. Nothing crazy. I just happen to have it, so I went with it. And then I have to take a minute to say, I never heard of what he recommended for the video, Higgins Black Magic ink. Never used this stuff before. I got it from the same place that I think he said he got it from Michael's. I got this from Michael's as well. If you can't get it, he has in his video other alternatives. I can't remember offhand. Once again, check out his video. It's a much better source than this one. But I will say I highly recommend Higgins Black Magic. I want to give a little bit of a heads up. I think for this stuff, less is more. And what I mean by that is if it overspills onto the model, the opacity of it is really strong, and it doesn't act like, say, wet paint in the sense that you can just wipe it off if you kind of get it where you don't want it to go. When it's there, it's kind of there almost permanently. Or at least I don't know any good way of cleaning it up or removing it in that early stages of drying. And it does dry pretty fast, but if you're patient, a little less, I think it works very easy, at least for this model with a lot of, once again, like nooks and crannies. There was a couple of times that I went thin and I felt like it was a little bit translucent, so I just had to go over it again, but super easy. Anybody can use this stuff. I highly recommend it. I'll definitely be using it again if not for comic book style painting, I'll be using it for black lining. It's just phenomenal. Once again, the opacity, I can't speak highly enough. The biggest takeaway of that video is learning about Higgins black magic. In his video, he does talk about giving texture to the model when it comes to horizontal, vertical, these just textured lines. And I've watched a lot of his other videos. He does talk about it in depth a little bit more. And I just tried pretty much to emulate what I saw in his video. I think about halfway through, it started clicking when it came to the textures. Luckily with this model, it's a little bit easier. Once you kind of I felt like I got the leg looking pretty good. It was able to transfer pretty easily to the rest of the model. But that is something I would definitely need more practice on, where he's very good and his model looks phenomenal. I think that's where you're going to make it or break it with this painting style, is if you can understand the texture, lining, whichever he calls it. I can't remember what term he uses, but that's really what's going to sell this model. And I think that's what kind of held me back. I feel like I understood the assignment pretty well, but it doesn't scream comic book style. For a first one-time go, I'm happy with it, but I definitely have plenty of room for improvement. Yeah, I think if you're at this stage, you're having issues with it, or you're just not 100% sure, check out his video, look at his example, and that's going to give you a much better understanding of that comic book style. I will say, I did mention that I feel like I didn't really 100% sell the comic book style. The one thing that I did not do was his shadows in between the legs, under the chest. I didn't apply the Higgins black magic for that stark black shadow contrast that he talks about. And I think the biggest reason I didn't do that was because, once again, the opacity of the ink is so strong. I was just nervous about kind of just slapping it on the model, because I was worried if I didn't do it well, the cleanup was going to take so much time, or it was going to be hard to kind of walk it back. Since I already had the different layers and colors of dry brushing, I was kind of hesitant and just didn't want to deal with that. But looking back, I wish I would have, and I felt like it would have sold that comic book style a little bit better than what I ended up with. I'm not disappointed with what I did, especially for a first time, but I think that step in the process is a must. Definitely to sell that comic book style. But yeah, that's pretty much the model. Groot, Marvel Crisis Protocol, comic book style. First time, had so much fun. He was 100% right in his video. This took no time at all. It took me 2 sessions, and the only reason was because I sat down and I base coated the model, and then I did something else, and then the next day I came back, and that's when I did all of the dry brushing and the black lining, the effect on his chest, painted the base. So pretty much actual painting, not including the base coat, because that was pretty much just dry brushing, just slapping it on. 1 session. I'd say for me, took probably 2.5, maybe 3 hours, just because I was very careful, never used the ink before. This model has a lot of recesses. I just wanted to make sure it was going to be clean, it was going to be crisp, and I was going to just really sell that effect. So I really took my time with this model. But honestly, if you've never done comic book style painting, once again, check out Epic Duck Studios. He has a bunch of videos with a bunch of different models doing that style of painting, and he is phenomenal at it. He sells the technique and the style and the look very well. His videos are extremely easy to follow, and I just felt like this was something that was new and challenging to me, but it wasn't stressful. I never sat down, or I was never sitting here worried, is this going to be, am I going to miss the mark? Am I going to have to paint over all this and do it again? Because, this isn't a model that was meant just for me. I can sit there and hold on to a model and, use it for tabletop if it wasn't quite, if it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. But giving this to somebody else, I really wanted this to look good. And I think I did a fairly good job for a first attempt. But once again, This video isn't meant to be served as a tutorial. This is just more or less me talking about my experience. As you saw in the video, I have Artist Opus, the dry brush. I might do a video reviewing them. They're not necessary for painting this model. Any old brush will do. I use cheap synthetic brush, usually something by Army Painter or wherever. Even a makeup brush would work. But yeah, I just want to make this video, talk about my experience. Once again, not taking any credit. Please go check Mike out at Epic Duck Studios. I really enjoy the content he puts out. He's given me a lot of ideas and just opened up a whole new style of painting that I'm excited to get into, better my skills at. And yeah, I just had so much fun painting this. I was happy I filmed it, and I just wanted to make a video and just share this with you guys. So yeah, once again, John with Die Hard Painting. More videos are coming to the video, more videos are coming to the channel. Hoping to grow as a painter, grow as a YouTuber. If there's any comments, any thoughts about what I can do to make this whole thing better. I'm editing all these videos by myself. I'm painting the models on my own. The lighting, the sound, all of it's done on my own. One feedback I did get was put up a backdrop or something to just hide the background. The table and everything is still here. So I don't know if this will stay. Maybe I need to iron this, or I don't know. Either way, just like painting a miniature, trying to grow as a painter, I'm trying to grow as, a hobby when it comes to this whole YouTube thing, whatever you call it. But yeah, either way, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something. Hopefully this was kind of like a pseudo review. But once again, go check out Epic Duck Studios. His videos are phenomenal. And I'm going to stop talking. And that's it. Have a great rest of the day, and keep painting. Yippee-ki-yay.